Shall we play a game?
Fight all you want, you old fool. You're merely delaying the inevitable.
Thank you for a very enjoyable game.
Thank you for tuning in and checking out our last match of the round 1 of the Machine vs. Man Team League, where the Average Joes will face off against Team Hal 9000. Starting out, we have CudleZerg vs. Purplewave on Destination. Game 2 will feature CrossToss vs. Adias on Andromeda. TerrBear will have his work cut out for him tonight, as he's pulling double duty playing both the third match against skyFORKnet on Icarus, and also being selected for the RNG slot for the Average Joes against AlLien on Heartbreak Ridge in the 4th match. As always, if there is an ace match, we will decide via RNG for the top 3 ring players of both teams. Now, onto the team intro. Team Hal 9000 may be a team with few superstar bots, but plenty of workhorses. Adias is the current team captain and current highest ranked bot for the team. However, Dragon isn't to be counted out as well, currently ranking in the top 5 of the Terran bots for the schnail ladder. Purplewave is also a standout bot, having done well in the bot vs. bot league scene. And rounding out the roster, we have AlLien, Daquin, and skyFORKnet, all very good bots for their respective races. How will the Average Joes strategize to tackle this team? Time to find out, starting now. And starting the first match off here on Destination, we have CudleZerg up here at the 12 o'clock. And Purplewave down here at the 6 o'clock. Last match of round 1, we'll have to see. Are the Joes going to be able to hold on to their winning streak currently, or are they going to fail? So far, CudleZerg has actually made more than 5 drones on this map. That's a new improvement compared to the last few matches it's played on here. And meanwhile, Purplewave also just doing the standard thing. Or possibly not. Opting for a pylon in the main versus a forge fast expand. Meanwhile, 9 Overlord for CudleZerg. Imagine 1 gate, 2 gate maybe, possibly a tech build. We'll have to see what Purplewave wants to do. 1 gateway so far, and CudleZerg actually doing the extractor trick to get an extra drone out. Is scouting with both a drone and an Overlord. And Purplewave adding that second gateway. So it's a 2 gate versus a 12 hatch. CudleZerg checking out that there's no natural. Seeing the 2 gate, we'll see what he wants to do. So far, not really altering the build any more than usual. Pool going down at a standard time is going to steal the gas, however. And Zealots immediately going to work on that. Meanwhile, have drones popping out. Some light probe harassment. Sending 2 more drones down to the natural. Fighting that probe off for now. Do have that 3rd hatchery, and I imagine he's going to throw down a creep colony with this. Do have the 3 zealots moving out from the base after clearing out that gas. CudleZerg still has a full view of everything, though, with that Overlord. And starting the creep colonies. Still no gas, however, adding drones. Not Zerglings. Does have one sunken morphing, potentially adding a few more as these drones come down. And Purplewave can't decide whether it wants to poke in or not with that one sunken. And 2 more creep colonies forming. We do have a couple more zealots moving up, and a core just finished. CudleZerg running that Overlord out of there now. Or deciding to come back. Take one last quick look. Meanwhile, 5 zealots patrolling around the perimeter of CudleZerg's natural. Has finally added on that gas. And adding a 4th sunken. Purplewave, seemingly in a bit of trouble, can't decide what to do. Has added on that Stargate, however, its minerals starting to pile up. Adding on a 3rd gateway as well. No expansion. CudleZerg, making that Sim City complete with the Hydralisk in. And Purplewave still dancing outside the natural. No lair. Still only just 3 basic hatcheries and a Hydralisk in, and then of course the wall of sunkens. Does have an Overlord chilling out over here. Did lose the Overlord down in the main of Purplewave. And Purplewave still unable to decide what it wants to do. Just dancing back and forth on these bridges. Meanwhile, CudleZerg droning up, researching Hydralisk tech. Adding an evolution chamber. And spores just in time for the Corsair. We'll have to see if the Corsair is able to get any kills. And thought Purplewave might have been expanding there, but actually just a zealot chilling out. And is going to be able to get on these Overlords before this spore colony is finished. However, CudleZerg running the Overlords around. Should probably split those so they all stop taking damage at least, but is going to be actually able to save them. Purplewave desperately trying to finish off this one hurt Overlord, but unfortunately suiciding into that spore colony and now deciding it's time to go. CudleZerg, few Hydras popping out. However, is this sunken wall going to be able to hold off this Protoss assault? So far it's looking like it. Purplewave trying to target some of the drones. However, cannot decide on whether or not it wants to engage. Unfortunately leading to a few empty deaths there. And so far, CudleZerg's defense holds. And the Hydralisk production has started, as well as Hydra range. And we do finally have that Protoss expansion from Purplewave. With no splash damage though, and no cannons. Purplewave may be in a heap of trouble when these Hydras come barreling down as natural. Adding on more Zealots and Goons though. And we do have +1 about halfway done to ranged attack for CudleZerg. And still, so far, no lair. Multiple Overlords hatching though. Purplewave still on 3 gates and 1 Stargate. Corsairs and Probe still in the main base. And these Hydralisks look like they may be getting ready to move out here. Purplewave has a massive population lead. However, army-wise, got about 10 zealots and 4 or 5 goons versus roughly 18 hydralisks. I don't know about this. Depending on how Purplewave takes this engagement, he could be completely overrun in a matter of seconds. And in fact, chilling on these bridges, locking most of these zealots behind the goons, is going to lose these units basically for free. Is finally able to get out of those behind the goons as they've died, however, immediately running into a wall of zealots. And +1 ranged immediately finished basically as soon as the attack started on the natural. Purplewave, unfortunately, went from having roughly 20-something units to having basically no units. Immediately going to lose this natural in the expansion. Does have a citadel started, but unfortunately may be a little too late. And CudleZerg right up in Purplewave's production line. Pulling probes now to try to fight these hydras off, but I don't think that's going to really go anywhere, as these zealots are basically immediately picked off as soon as they make contact with the hydras, and more hydras keep streaming down from CudleZerg's main. And Purplewave, unfortunately in a heap of trouble. May be weighing its options. Does have a goon. Has lost its nexus though. Is going to fight with the probes. Fighting to the last man. Last probe. Unfortunately with that though, Purplewave, GG's. CudleZerg deflecting Purplewave's 3-gate Corsair attack with his own Hydra counter rush puts the Joes on the scoreboard 1-0. Will Adias be able to give CrossToss his first official loss of the season? Time to find out now. And starting game 2 here on Andromeda, we have Adias in the top left and CrossToss in the bottom right. Now, potentially don't want to hype this matchup too much, but these are basically the two best players of their respective teams, so very curious to see what might be in store for this game. Adias, of course, taking out CrossToss in his only loss in the PvT event match we held before the season started. Will CrossToss be able to get some revenge, and actually even exactly on this map, Andromeda, that he took the win against CrossToss on. So far, standard, both players. Well, again, as I say that, CrossToss opting to make the pylon in his natural and immediately go for a pylon scout. And he's actually going the right way. Gonna be able to find Adias before Adias has even started his barracks. Oh, guess I lied about that. CrossToss just finding Adias as the barrack starts. SCV going to start to chase that probe, however, CrossToss immediately going for the gas steal. I imagine CrossToss with that is basically saying, we're not playing a standard game here, Adias. We're playing by my rules. And Adias pulling SCVs to try to get that gas down. Meanwhile, Gateway started in the natural. Gas is able to finish. Barracks almost done as well. And CrossToss looping around that gas. Is he maybe going to get it a second time? Oh my! He got the second gas steal! He got the second gas steal at the cost of the scouting probe. Adding a second gate even in the natural. CrossToss He is definitely dictating the pace of this game. Adias adding on a second depot, potentially going to go into a Rax expand. However, Marines working on taking that gas down as fast as possible. And we do have a second scouting probe coming out for CrossToss. So far, nothing else but the 2 gateways in his natural and pylons. Adias even getting blocked in by a random extra scouting probe, preventing him from potentially making a bunker or scouting before, trying to make the bunker and immediately canceling it. The gas, though, finally, after 2 gas steals, is going down. Adias, though, may be in a heap of trouble. 3 zealots with 2 more being created. And he does decide to remake the bunker right on the spot that he initially canceled. Has he added the factory yet? Getting close. And adding the factory. And lifting the barracks up. Meanwhile, 5 zealots moving out from CrossToss's main. Has added the gas. I imagine we'll add the core soon. In fact, adding it as we speak. And Adias starting the command center. Barracks expand. CrossToss basically forcing this upon him with those double gas steals. However, has no SCVs to repair this bunker. Is this bunker going to immediately fall to these 5 zealots? And the zealots even preventing the barracks from landing until finally moving. Adias able to kill one of these zealots off. However, 4 zealots working their way up the ramp, basically having their way with any units that come close to them. And Adias trying to micro these Marines to its best. Adias trying to get a second bunker down. However, will he have any Marines to even put in it? More zealot reinforcements coming up. Even a vulture. 3 zealots working on this while 2 SCVs repair. However, SCVs, zealots, all fighting around the edge of that bunker trying to keep it alive. However, zealots able to finally get the kill. And we do see a goon coming up to counter this vulture that has come out to counter these zealots. This is a completely thought out build by CrossToss of pure aggression. Zealots, SCVs, vultures doing what they can to buy time. Siege tank on the way as well to counter the dragoons now. However, Adias down to just a handful of SCVs, a marine and a vulture against 6 zealots and a dragoon. I gotta say, I like CrossToss's position a lot more if I was playing. Is able to even take that zealot out, and that marine is 1 hit away from dying. I mean, anything sneezes on that, that's gonna die. Unfortunately, even able to pick the tank off before it can get the SCV repair. And these SCVs trying to fight off these zealots are able to kill them slowly over time, however, also taking losses of their own. And now we have 2 goons moving up, and a 3rd gate finished. CrossToss down to just 1 zealot and 3 goons, however, Adias pulling all of the SCVs it basically owns, 2 zealots. Trying to clear out these Protoss units from its natural, literally cannot make any other units. Trying to get anything out that it can. However, Protoss units keep streaming into his base, right past the wall where there are no Marines, there are no siege tanks, there's nothing, and even going to lose the factory. Unfortunately, Adias in a heap of trouble, losing its last little bit of workers. Oh, and with that, GG! CrossToss taking an explosive win over Adias with a well-executed 3-gate rush with the double gas steal, puts the Joes up 2-0 and one game closer to winning the match tonight. Will TerrBear seal the 3-0 against Team Hal 9000, or will skyFORKnet claw their team back into the running? Game 3 starts now. And starting out here on Icarus, we have skyFORKnet at the 12 o'clock position. And TerrBear at the 6 o'clock position. TerrBear, chance to close it out 3-0 against Hal 9000. However, will skyFORKnet allow that to happen? Or will it claw its way back into the game for its team? It's time to find out. Both players, unlike last few games, don't seem to be doing anything that indicates any sort of aggression. Have to see what skyFORKnet does with its first pylon. And decides to make it in the main. And meanwhile, TerrBear opting to make the wall at the natural. skyFORKnet seemingly adding on a gateway here. So, yep, I'd say so far. Opening's pretty typical, no sorts of crazy nonsense like the last two games. TerrBear adding on the barracks. I think his wall is actually messed up. I think you want to make like two like a depot here, or sorry, like a depot here and a depot here, and then the barracks here. I think he's too far back, but we'll have to see if that comes into play or if I'm even right. Fortunately, SimCity and Starcraft, some of the most annoying yet most important aspects of the game, and skyFORKnet able to scout out TerrBear on the second try. Does have a core started, adding on that second pylon, of course. And TerrBear potentially messed up his building placement. Sent an SCV, but possibly got body blocked and then sent back. Yep. Yeah, if you have a proper wall off, none of that can happen. And I think he may be even realizing his mistake. Possibly try to correct it here in a little bit. Do have multiple probes out on the field, constantly scouting around, and adding on a second gate. So a little bit of a different build comparatively to CrossToss last game. However, both Protoss players this match deciding, hey, we want to dictate the game. I guess that's technically per usual, but still being extremely more aggressive than the more modern strategies call for. And TerrBear adding that bunker, trying to seal that back off as best he can. His factory almost finished. See if he adds maybe a second one or a starport after this, or just goes straight right into the expand. Is able to also scout out skyFORKnet finally. Does see that there is no natural expansion, however. Dragoon moving down. Probably start working on that bunker, some of these depots. I don't believe actually that this bunker covers this depot and potentially this depot once range kicks in. But we'll have to see. Does have a vulture as well. Yep. So skyFORKnet could actually work on this depot entirely and not get shot by the bunker at all. However, deciding to add on a third gateway before an expansion. We're really going to try to go for the bust. And we do have TerrBear deciding to add on his command center soon. Has added on a machine shop. And making that tank just as normal. Meanwhile, Dragoons patrolling all outside the side of the base. May try to come poke in soon. I believe range is almost finished. Yep. Once range is finished, I'm sure they'll try to start attacking something. In fact, seconds before it even is finished, they shoot off a couple rounds. And deciding now also to start working on these depots. And TerrBear needs to repair this bunker, or potentially could be in a lot of trouble. Is moving that tank up as well. Does lose the bunker. And a few Marines, it looks like. Ah, damn. Misses the vulture too. However, 2 siege tanks out now, and siege mode obviously finished. Has his siege tanks too close though. Unfortunately, getting shot down by these ranged goons. Is able to move them though at the last second and keep them alive thanks to that high ground advantage. Is starting to repair things now, and that natural command center is finished. Unfortunately, floating a lot of minerals. Meanwhile, skyFORKnet adding on to his third base. Going in from the 5 gate into a double expand, since he couldn't break the Terran's natural. And so far, just one factory, now a second factory being made out of TerrBear, and adding on the engineering bay, potentially fearing some sort of drops or DT play. However, so far, skyFORKnet seemingly intends to play a relatively normal game, seems, with speed lots and dragoons. Seeing a lot of siege tanks starting to accumulate for TerrBear. Hasn't added on a third or fourth factory yet, though. However, is adding on a bunch of turrets. However, skyFORKnet is again just content to sit back and macro up. TerrBear seemingly preparing for attacks that aren't even coming. And technology that's not even coming. Adding on a second machine shop though. I imagine he's going to try and power out as many tanks as he can, and then add 3, 4, 5 maybe factories and add on his supporting units. And meanwhile, the Protoss just continues to develop. Adding on more gateways, adding on a Stargate, adding on a Templar Archives, probably going to see Arbiters, adding the third gas. Have they started any upgrades, or do they have a forge? Nope. Doesn't look like it. And no armories either out of TerrBear just yet. TerrBear adding the Academy. Probably going to get scanned. Check out what his Protoss opponent's doing, since he's just been kind of holed up into his base. Powering up for now. Adding on 2 factories and a starport. Meanwhile, skyFORKnet, again, just has a plethora of normal Protoss technologies and upgrades. Speed lots, ranged goons, adding on gateways, has an orbital tribunal coming up, Hasn't taken a fourth yet, however TerrBear still only on 2 bases, so not exactly the most pressing issue to take. And meanwhile, both players just really macroing up. skyFORKnet, unfortunately though, almost doubled the supply of TerrBear. TerrBear though finally has his factory production coming online and is adding on that control tower to the starport. Meanwhile though, has a just massive amount of siege tanks ready to go, sieged up for when skyFORKnet tries to attack. And skyFORKnet, reacting to the scan, does see that it's Arbiter tech, it looks like. skyFORKnet able to kill off that eBay. And deciding now's the time to go for an attack. Got about a 40 supply lead. And meanwhile, adding on another engineering bay to replace the destroyed one, but still only on the 4 factories. However, does have a dropship about to pop out. Does have a couple unsieged tanks too, which is not a good thing to have as a Terran player. Yep. If he had made his wall right, that wouldn't have happened. I mean, I know technically he's evaporating them as soon as they come, but he's also doing a lot of collateral damage to this front wall. skyFORKnet, though, seeing a plethora of siege tanks and instant melting of its units, sends in a small poke force, but decides to back off afterwards. Do have +1 finally started on the forge for skyFORKnet. And adding on the armories now for TerrBear as well. Has added a 5th factory as well. And attempting a drop with 4 vultures to the 3rd. However, skyFORKnet, seeing it with the scouting probe, immediately sending his army to try and deal with it. And does finally have his first Arbiter out on the field. However, TerrBear immediately sending it to the 3rd. See what kind of damage he's able to get. Despite the supply differentials, the worker count has actually been relatively even up till now. And in fact, TerrBear starting to take a lead with that vulture drop. However, is going to lose the dropship and the leftover vultures that he tried to save. Unfortunately, TerrBear floating a lot of money, adding on another factory for a 6th. Has started both upgrades +1 to armor and weapon for mech. Meanwhile, energy almost done for Arbiters. Do they have stasis? We'll have to see. skyFORKnet adding on a few more workers. And TerrBear making a replacement dropship and another science facility. Excuse me, his first science facility for vessels. Now that he knows that Arbiter tech is out. Potentially going for another drop. We'll have to see if he goes to the same place or potentially goes to a different location. And meanwhile, skyFORKnet deciding now is the time to go for an attack. Almost maxed. Does have 1 Arbiter currently, with enough energy for 1 stasis. And skyFORKnet, again, able to scout that dropship with his probes, going all over the place. And this Protoss army, unfortunately, not really grouping up before attacking, just going in a long, long line, and immediately evaporating to these siege tanks. And skyFORKnet, after losing about a 1/3 of his army, it looks like, decides that he doesn't want to try and attempt that any longer. Does have a drop coming down, though. Is able to kill off a few more workers. However, Dragoons and Cannons easily clean this up. Losing the dropship as well, unfortunately. And still 3 bases for skyFORKnet. And the 2 for TerrBear. However, TerrBear very, very quickly amassing a very healthy amount of tanks. Now adding on Goliaths and Vultures soon, it looks like. +1 to both armor and weapons, almost finished. Meanwhile, +1 is finished for skyFORKnet. TerrBear, unfortunately, a little late on his 3rd CC, assuming he's able to take it. Potentially getting ready for a move out now. However, skyFORKnet immediately rushing down with a bunch of his units. And TerrBear trying to siege up tanks as fast as possible. Able to kill off a good amount of this Protoss army, however. Losing a few of his units in return in a couple buildings. Evening up the supplies a bit more, though. And skyFORKnet able to spend its money completely down and adding on a 4th Nexus. Moving out now with 2 Arbiters. We have enough for 2 Stasises on them. Stasi. And where's the vessel? The vessel's all the way down here. Does have EMP, however, completely out of position. And because of that, immediately suffering. Vessel's moving up, but too little too late. Should have been immediately at the front of the army, scouting for those Arbiters, trying to pick them off with the EMP. TerrBear getting overrun by this attack by skyFORKnet. Losing massive chunks of his army to all these stasises, and in fact, basically stasing the entire army of TerrBear. Everything that he had left. Supply is just plummeting for TerrBear right now. Is trying to just piecemeal these units up here to try to save these units in stasis, but this Protoss army should immediately just evaporate these Terran units off the face of this map. And in fact, sending the rest of his units down here to blow up what's left of the natural. TerrBear about half the supply of skyFORKnet. Might be able to take out these Arbiters, but won't be able to potentially do much about the army behind them. Is able to take one out, however. TerrBear deciding GG. skyFORKnet running over TerrBear with its 3-base Arbiter play, and stasising all of TerrBear's army puts Team Hal 9000 back in the game. Will AlLien be able to push it to the first ace match of the season, or will TerrBear be able to focus after losing the last match and score the game point? Time to find out now. And starting out on Heartbreak Ridge, we have AlLien, the Purplezerg, here on the left. And TerrBear looking for a bit of redemption after that last game for his team, here on the right in the white. TerrBear, unfortunately, not very good in TVP. However, so far his TVZ has been phenomenal in this series/season. Will he be able to get a victory and finally close out the match for the Average Joes, or will we see our first ace match of the season? So far, both players not really doing anything ridiculously cheesy. No BBSs, no 5 pools, none of that. However, who knows what the future has in store. Adding on that 9 Overlord and 9 Depot. AlLien's Overlord crossing through the center to check for proxies. What are they going to do? We'll have to see. So far, AlLien looking like a 12 hatch. Meanwhile, TerrBear going on. See, potentially Nope. Adding on a barracks and looks like a gas as well now. Finally making an extra SCV. AlLien, on the other hand, about to make the natural hatchery. We'll probably add a pool on after this. Adding that pool. Gas finally finished for TerrBear, adding on both SCVs for a total of 3. Barracks almost finished. Is able to scout out AlLien finally. And AlLien seeing. Dancing his overlord back and forth to check. Does see a factory. Curious how AlLien will choose to respond. I know technically his natural hatchery is not done, but will he rush to make creep colonies, or maybe just try and defend with Zerglings? Do have a marine out as well. And TerrBear pushing through. Trying to scout out what AlLien has decided. AlLien, though, adding his 3rd hatchery in the back of the base. Maybe trying to go for a more strategic sort of play and make him think that there's a 2-hatch. And TerrBear, I don't believe, has seen that 3rd hatchery in the back. Has only seen the 2, deciding to button up with a bunker at the front. However, adding on a starport and a 2nd starport. Has AlLien seen this? He has not seen it, sending his overlord, though, at just the mere edge of the starport. Attacking, though, with his Zerglings. Immediately running into a Zergling-tight wall with Marines and Vultures and bunkers. Has added a Hydralisk den. Attempting to add some Hydras into that Zergling rush. Meanwhile, adding on the control tower for TerrBear. Has started his 1st Wraith as well. AlLien starting Sunkens. Unfortunately, misreading the situation a bit. Preparing for a land assault, however. He's actually going to be fighting by air. However, I guess we'll have these Hydras, so maybe not the biggest deal, depending on if he's in the right spots with them. 1st Hydra, 2nd Hydra hatching. Zerglings, meanwhile, poking in and out of that bunker's range, checking to see if there's any weaknesses they might be able to exploit. Still no lair out of AlLien, though. Taking workers out of drone, or taking the workers out of his gas for some reason. Sending up 4 Hydras and maybe trying to snipe that bunker. However, TerrBear already have a SCV in place for repair and also has an extra Vulture to reinforce. And AlLien going for it, rushing in with these Zerglings. However, with this tight choke point and the Vultures and bunker, he does not have any chance of being able to bust through this. Dancing those Hydralisks back and forth out the front. And even moving the Overlord over there. TerrBear, though, moving out with 3 Wraiths. Let's see what he can maybe get done against AlLien. AlLien adding more Zerglings and drones. Lair about halfway finished. And TerrBear flying right past an Overlord, right into AlLien's main. Is going to immediately start working on these drones. He's able to get 1 kill so far, 2 kills, 3 kills, 4 kills, 5 kills, 6 kills, and finally working on that Overlord. Hydras pop out, however, immediately going Cloak. Unfortunately, unable to do anything against Cloaked Wraiths. And scouting out the rest of everything. Deciding to go to work on these natural drones now. AlLien losing basically every single worker he has to these Cloaked Wraiths. Does have a few Hydras around for if they ever become decloak and run out of energy like now. And is able to pick one off. However, has a few extra reinforcements that they have now picked up and immediately going back in. Meanwhile, behind this, TerrBear adding on an eBay has started siege tank production. However, TerrBear ripping through AlLien's forces. Down to just 6 drones overall. Losing Overlords, drones, and everything else left and right. However, does have a small Hydra force that if linked up with these Zerglings may be able to bust this front if he times it just right. However, with the arrival of that siege tank, maybe that timing window has closed. Meanwhile, TerrBear starting to work on the Hydralisk Den. Taking away that option entirely for AlLien. Does finally have Overlord speed though, so might be able to outrun these Wraiths. And going for a last-ditch attack. Rushed in with the Zerglings and the Hydras, trying to focus down the SCVs repairing, but between that bunker, vultures, and tank, unable to really do much of anything. Meanwhile, starting an evolution chamber and remaking the Hydralisk Den. However, AlLien completely out of workers. Has only 4 Hydralisks and a Zergling against this ever-growing Terran Wraith army. And TerrBear maybe doing a last little bit of scouting, just trying to see if maybe there's a hatchery or expansion that he might have missed. However, I gotta say, I can't imagine this game going on much longer, folks. AlLien, despite having money, deciding not to make any new workers or any more Hydralisks. And losing the last little bit of its Hydralisks and its Overlords. Basically down to nothing. AlLien, GG's. And with TerrBear's 2-port Wraith Rush making short work of AlLien's drones and Overlords, Average Joes take the match 3-1 against Team Hal 9000, ending the first round. We'd like to thank everyone for their continued support over the league and tuning in, sharing, commenting, giving feedback, etc. We look forward to seeing everyone in the second round. Before the start of the second round, though, we will release a short video tallying the results of round 1 and seeing where the bots teams currently stand in the rankings. Have a good night, and if you celebrate it, have a happy Thanksgiving.